Okay, so welcome back, and let's get on with it. So there's a lot of things in these that pertain to later stages in the game. Since we're at the very beginning, there's a lot less choice that we have. So what I'll do is, instead of running through the list of everything that you can do in a turn, I'll bring them up as they come up. And then by the end, hopefully I'll have covered most of the choices, if not all of them. So the beginning of the game, basically right now, I'm in a pod that's next to a hallway. My choices are stay in the pod and discover what's in this pod as far as creatures and what that token is, or move to the hallway. If I move to the hallway, then I would do a discovery check to see what's in this hallway. Now, since the point is to stay in the pod, I'm going to stay in the pod. From the way that I understand it, there's also an ability called scan, which is instead of going into the room to discover what's there and then being trapped with, if it's creatures for example, being trapped with those critters, you can scan, which is basically looking through the window in this is basically a doorway from the pod to the hallway with a window. You can look through the window to see what's in the room. So you can discover the room next to you that way. When you do a scan like that, the number 3 is subtracted during an upcoming reaction phase from the intelligence rating of a specimen that is scanned. If there are any specimens, it'll just alter their intelligence rating by, if you rolled, say, that 5 right there, it would lower it by 3, which would make it a 2, so it would be very low intelligence, which is going to come as a bonus when you actually end up fighting this creature due to various tables that I'll show you later. So that's the bonus of scanning. But since we're staying in this room, our movement phase is restricted to this pod. And I think I was playing that wrong before, just reading the rules again. I believe all you can do is discover this pod. I can't discover what's here and scan the room. That would be considered 2 actions in this movement phase. Since I've decided to stay put, we'll do this first. We'll turn this sucker over and we'll see. So right out of the gate, we've come up with one of the restraint pods, which is fantastic. This is where we will bring critters that we discover on this level. If they're light enough, we can drag them back to this pod and restrain them and get some victory points. So that's a good thing to find right out of the gate. The next thing we'll do is we will roll to see how many, if any, tokens we'll draw from our Thor cup there. So how you do that is it's just a 1 die roll. So there's a number 2. If it's a 1, 2, or 3, you pick that many tokens out of the cup. If it's a 4, 5, and 6, you are in there alone. So since we rolled a 2, let's mix them up there, and we'll pull 2 out and we'll have a look to see what we got. So this one that got wet, that I had to rewrite, is called the Comp Com. So this is where we can refer to our charts over here. Let me just find it. So Comp Com. So if you are in, if you have this with you and it's functioning, it adds 1 to your restart roll. Your restart is when you're going to restart the ship. So it can be a bad thing, which you'll see later on. It's probably something that I won't end up taking, but so that's in the room with us, which is fine. And then we are, I guess, lucky. We'll see how the rolls play out if this gets to a point. We have a Grendel critter with us that's got some pretty good stats. You can see all those 3s there. Again, the number 1 with the red box around it means that you subtract 1, and you'll see that come up in a moment, possibly. So it's really important to think of these as just one at a time things. And I think this is where it comes into it for me as far as following this movement phases to the T. Because things can get a little out of control. Oh, I've seen this, I'm gonna get that, I'm gonna fight this, I'm gonna use that pod, whatever. For every single action, there's a certain order that you have to do things in. So we've discovered that things are there. If, for example, we decided we wanted to pick up this piece of equipment, we would have to roll dice first to see if the equipment is functioning. If the equipment is functioning, obviously you'll want to pick it up. If it needs repair, you might still want to pick it up because you can use your repair ability to fix the piece of equipment to make it fully functional. If this was a pod that, say, was a health for your player, you'd have to roll to see if the pod itself was working. It can be green for working. Actually, I'll show you this. It can be green for working. Yellow side up means that it's working, but it's kind of on the fritz, and red means that it is not working. Some things in the game, when they're not working or they reach red status, they get removed from the game. Other things, when they reach a red status, they go back to the cup to be drawn later, like I think some weapons. And then other things like pods, if it's red, it stays in the game exactly where it is, because pods you can't pick up and move with you somewhere. They stay where they are. It just remains red until you bring a robot or a piece of gear to come back here and fix the pod itself, hopefully bringing it up all the way to green. So that's how that works. So forgetting the fact that even if there was something I wanted to do, the first thing we have to deal with is this critter. Because we've appeared in this room with this critter, we have to see how it's going to react to us. And that reaction is we roll their intelligence rating and their aggression rating, and then we'll refer to a chart, which I'll show you in a minute. So the intelligence rating and aggression rating are both, where's the other dice there? It's 2 die rolls, and again, this is where we're going to refer, so I'll bring this over here for now. So Grendel is right here, and I'll bring this over here. So the first number we're looking at is this 1 with the red around it. That means we're going to roll the 2 dice and subtract 1 from that number to find the attribute level on our chart. So here's where we hope that we roll some lowish numbers to give us more of a fighting chance of this thing being either scared of us or just wanting to run away or not engage us. Although at this stage of the game we're at full health and everything, it might not be such a bad idea to fight this thing or try to stun it, since we are in that restraint pod. So, first roll. 3 plus 3 is 6. Subtracting that 1 is a 5. And according to our table, a 5 makes that attribute of intelligence a 3. Sorry, trying to write and hold a camera is a little difficult. The next one we're looking at is this number 3 right here. This means, again, we're going to roll the dice, but this time we're going to add 3 to that total to get our attribute. So 2 dice here. 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So that brings us all the way to the maximum here of a 9. So put a 9 there. So he's maybe not the smartest beast in the game, but he's fairly aggressive. I'll bring this closer here. So now this gives us the 2 numbers we need to see what this critter's reaction is going to be to our existence. There's 3 choices: flee, move, and kill. So if it comes up flee, that means he is scared of us and he just wants to get the hell away from us and run to some other room far away from us. Move just means that in this particular case, he's just going to hang out with us. If we were passing through a room, like I said, with doing that hasty movement of 2 spots, if, for example, we were both positioned if he was positioned here and we were going to run through to this and it came up as move when we interacted with his space, he would just continue on with us and move into this pod. Wouldn't attack us. We wouldn't have to do another check or anything because it's another room. He just kind of is curious about us and wants to hang out with us is all that means. But again, since we're in the same room, that just means he'll stay here and just chill out in the corner. And then obviously kill is pretty self-explanatory. He's going to want to tear us limb from limb, which means that we're going to fight. So a 3 intelligence, a 9 aggression. We go, this is the intelligence track up here. 3 is there. We follow it all the way down to 9, and it gives us our numbers, and it's not looking that great. So flee, does the dash mean nothing then? I've actually never come across a chart where there's been nothing. So basically he's not going to flee, because it looks like if it's 1, 2, or 3, he's going to move, which in this case will stay. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, he's going to want to kill us. I'll talk about the brackets later. And then 10, 11, and 12 will be nothing again. So we're kind of looking for, we'll see what happens here. I mean, again, a kill wouldn't be such a bad thing. So we'll see what we roll. And we've rolled a 7. So that means that puts us into a kill. So he wants to kill us. Let me just double check. 3, 9, yep. So the brackets around it in this particular instance, they mean different things depending on what reaction he has. So in this particular one, let me find the section that says it. Oh, sorry. So I should say, see, and again, this is where I get confused by things. So what I should have done was, this is the movement and discovery phase is what it's considered. Finding his reaction is actually under step 2. And this is also where it doesn't work for me. Like, it feels strange for me to do this movement phase, find that there's a critter, find his statistics, and then wait to see what his reaction is till the player 2 has done their first part. Because to me, finding a critter and seeing how he reacts to you and then either fighting it or dealing with it seems like it's all part of the same section to me, in my mind. But as I said, I really am curious to try it, this method. So what I'm going to do is pause there, and we'll move on to player 2 and we'll see what he does. I'll be back with you all kind of, since it's going to be the same starting point, because I'm going to have him explore that pod. I'll do all those rolls and stuff off camera, and then I'll come back and fill you in on what's happened, and we'll continue. Okay, so that was a fairly quick first step for our second player. He discovered restraint pod number 1, funnily enough. It's the way it goes. So both of them got really lucky with appearing in a restraint pod, which makes the rest of their searching through here a little different, which I'm kind of interested in because I don't have much experience with dragging critters back to the restraint pods. I think I did it once in the last game, and that was it. He did his die roll to see what was in the room with him. It came up as a 6, so that means there's nothing. He's all alone in that room, which is fine. So that ends his movement portion of the actions. Now we'll jump back to the reaction phase, which leads us, again, I'm going to stick with that same roll that he wants to kill us. I'm not going to re-roll. So according to this, kill. The specimen immediately attacks and attempts to kill one other unit in the space. If the number representing this result is parenthesized in bold type, the specimen makes a charge attack. For example, its impair rating is doubled and its shield rating is halved for that attack. When more than one enemy unit occupies a space, the die is rolled to determine who is attacked, which I won't get too much more into that, but that comes into play much later in the game, and I'm sure if there's more people playing it, you're going to end up inhabiting the same room as other players or robots. So basically what that means is you're going to want to determine who the critter is going to attack. But since it's only us in there, we know that he's going to attack us. And as it said, its impair rating is doubled and its shield rating is halved for that attack. So this is also something that I discovered the last game, and sort of makes sense. Again, what I was doing was when I fell into this situation where it was going to attack, I'd roll all the dice. I'd roll the dice for each other attribute. And what I've read since is that if you're fighting it, you only roll the dice for the parts that kind of apply to your situation. So if I was trying to carry him, for example, then I would roll the dice to see how much he weighs before I carry him. So I'm gonna try to follow it by the book. Since I'm only going to fight him, I'm going to just roll for the impair and the shield. And as it said, the impair rating is doubled and its shield rating is halved for this attack only. So we're going to find the base number and then write it in there and then apply those differences. So for the impair, and again we're going to refer back to this token. So we had intelligence, aggression, this is the impair number, this is the shield number, this is the weight, this is the port, and this is the speed. And again, these are just numbers that you're going to add or subtract to your dice rolls. So for this impair rating, we're going to add 3. I know that's small, I hope you can still see that. We're going to add 3 to it. So let's see what we get here. So we had 6, 7, 8, 9, which brings us to a 12, which is the highest number. So his impair rating is 9, which scares the hell out of me since this is the first creature that we've discovered. The next one is 3. So again, we're going to add 3 to the dice. Yes, that's right, 3 to the dice. So this time we have 6 plus 3 is 9, which brings him to a 7. Shield is basically how much stamina he has. Every time we attack him, there will be a 1, 2, or 3 taken off of his shield rating. When that shield gets to a 0, he's dead. But his impair being so high, and again, my impair isn't low, Stroff is lower than Jeopardus, but 6 isn't a bad number either. 6 is here, 7 is here, it only goes to 7. Anything higher than 7 is just considered a 7. So he's got 5 out of 6 chances to actually stun me. I've got 4 out of 6 chances to stun him, and we'll see how that plays out. So his shield, so just for this one on its own, shield is halved, which is 3.5, so that'll bring it to 4. So whatever number I end up taking off, it's as if his shield for this one is 4. So we'll deal with that again as we go. Now what do we do? So his impair is doubled. 18, which again doesn't matter because 9 is off the charts already. So we're dealing with 7. We roll 1 dice. And oh good God, look at that, we've got a 5. So we come down here to 5, and he's kicked our ass to down to a 3. I'm not sure if I showed it at the top, but the stamina level that I ended up rolling for both of them turned out to be a 6. So we find Stroff here, who's down below, and we go 1, 2, 3 down this track, 3. If we reach this point, it's crew down. And we'll see if we actually get to this. So the other important thing that happens is that if you get a 2 or a 3, your crewman is stunned. So he's kind of down for the moment. But since attacks are considered simultaneous, we still get to roll the die, to see what kind of damage we had on the Grendel. So we will roll the red die, and again, we're looking at an impaired rating of 6, which has us in this chart here. So let's see what we end up getting. And we got a 3, so 6, 3. So that brings us to a 2 hits off of him, and that stuns him as well. So we turn him over to stun. We remember that this shield rating was at 4. This is going to be hard. I'm going to put you down for 1 second. Which brings him to a 2 there. Now I believe that that's right, because for this one his shield rating is halved. So that'll come in handy. I'll show you on the next turn. We'll see what happens here. I'm wondering if I should just leave it there for the moment. Yes, I'll leave it there for 1 moment. I'll play players 2. I'll play his turn of this second phase here, this reaction phase, and then we'll come back and I'll fill you in.